Good morning and welcome to Studio 3 in Mirador Television. And here's the boss who's invited me along this morning, Teddie.
Yeah, good morning all. Hello.
And
Sayonara. Top of the morning to all the viewers out there. Another morning of madness here in the studio, all conducted by my friend there, and of course the original Mr. Mirador, Keith Hayes. We're doing his life story. This part we left him in Ulster with a taste of honey, honey, and that was Gloria. Honey.
Gloria Honeypud, right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. She was on the other day. She was on Wild Women or whatever they call it.
Yes.
I hate to say it, down over your age.
Well, now she's getting a bit of a golden oldie herself, isn't she?
Well, she's still not a bad looking chick.
No, she isn't. No, to be honest. I mean, no, I wouldn't
say no to a date. Oh dear.
So anyway, Keith, we left you in Ulster with the lovely Gloria Honeyford.
That's right, yeah. Well, as all good things come to an end, and we had two very successful seasons, and then I moved on. Partly, I went into the commercial sector for a short period of time. I say a short period of time. I was in the commercial sector for quite a long time. But in those days, I think even more so today.
And who was that for?
I'll tell you in a minute. Because you're allowed to do commercial stuff and broadcast at the same time, as long as there was no conflict of interest. So, in fact, I went to work with and consult for British Airways. And I had two or three people that I consulted for. Now there was PricewaterhouseCoopers, all before they were booming again. So I'm happy to say that I had a little contribution to their boom.
Oh, the boom years.
Boom. I also went from BBC to ITV and went there as a fairly ordinary job, actually, because I didn't want to take the time to get in. I mean, when you're involved with something like Gloria Honeyford, it's a 24-hour day job, you know.
Of course,
getting guests and sorting things out and making sure the scripts are okay and all the rest of it. So I went as what they called it in those days, a continuity announcer. In other words, coming up now is Teddie Wormsley, and Teddie is talking today about teddy bears. That's that sort of thing. But
he sounds an interesting chap. The teddy bear.
Oh, he is. Wait till we get to his life story. Henry VIII had nothing on him.
Oh, no.
Of course, I was a very experienced guy. So they got me doing all sorts of other things. And one of the programs that I did was very interesting, but very heart pulsating, and that was something called Police 6. Now, you may remember in this country there was Shaw Taylor did Police 5. That's right.
This was what you were doing. Was that radio?
No, this was television. I moved into television.
Was that Ulster TV?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear, did I?
No. But you have now.
Now, here I am in television again.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
It's a roller coaster ride for most people. But at Ulster Television, I did. I was a stand-in for a guy called Charlie Witherspoon, who was a lovely guy, one of those old-style broadcasters, you know, who his heart and soul absolutely dedicated to making sure that you got a decent product out. And I mean, we're talking 1970s, so you know, a different atmosphere, a different day. different challenge.
I would imagine television back then being, because it was really, I guess, from the 50s and 60s when TV was introduced, the mood changes in television like it does with anything.
Yeah, this industry, I can fall victim to it myself. It always reminds me of Plato in his Republic. And he said, when a man becomes an expert in one thing, he thinks he's an expert in everything else. Well, everybody was an expert in television. Believe me, and television companies themselves thought they were experts in the medium, even though it was galloping ahead technically. But one of the things that I saw, very, very dramatic, because it altered the way I worked, was the defeat of the unions. When Margaret Thatcher came in, if you recall, the first thing that she did was she just pointed up and said, "I'm after you." And television was highly unionized. At one time, I belonged to 3 different unions just so that I could read the news on television.
Just so you could do your job.
One was the NUJ, National Union of Journalists. Another was ACTT, the Association of Cinematographic something television, and the third was Equity.
Oh,
the Actors Union.
Really?
Yeah.
So you had a very long reach, didn't you, Mr. Haig? You had a very long reach. It could be said.
Just to be able to work.
Just to be able to work amongst the TV.
Yeah. And I can remember, because you worked in very close proximity in those days. And I can remember people that I would count as friends, technicians, the cameraman that pointed the camera at me, and the guy that pushed the button to put the microphone on for me to get on air. You got to know them and you got to like them. And I can remember when management decided that they were going to pace them down, as coming down and setting up shop. And they called each one of the technicians in, one by one, and said, "Are you prepared to do?" The union instructed these men to say no. Right, okay, no, out they went. The third time, management now had the right to sack them. And for once, I saw concern on the face of one guy, the first guy, when he went back in the third time. What the hell shall I do? I can't afford to lose my job.
So this is when Thatcher came to power.
That's right. This is the early 1980s.
So that
she came in 79.
So how did the unions react?
Oh, very badly. I mean, this is where still people still say, "Oh, the mining unions, oh dear, look, she devastated them." The fact of the matter is that they got all unions at that particular time had got themselves into such a position where they were virtually managing industry. Now, unions perform a very useful function if they're handled properly.
They do. They do, actually.
The balance of power got totally out of kilter. And not only that, but I mean, it was throttling the companies financially. For instance, I read the midnight news. The midnight news started at 11:50 because it had to be off by 11:59. If it went over for two seconds, it had to be we had to be paid an extra 15 minutes because it was 1 second into a 15-minute thing.
Oh, right, okay.
But you couldn't be paid in 15 minutes. If you're into a 15-minute thing, you then were into an hour.
So can I just, what was that slot? So you were given a script?
Yeah, there was a guy in the newsroom.
Yeah, right.
Who came down and gave me and did a Tony Butler with my hand.
Yeah, with the hand. Yeah. So it, basically, was that sent down on a screen in front of you to read, or back then was
they were still developing what was known as autocue.
Yeah.
We had some of it for the news in the studio, but in the news booth, no.
No.
What we had to do was to read it like this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And that's when you used to see them at the end of the bulletins, throw the paper into the bin.
That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. You reminded me about that.
Yeah. That's fine. It's just obviously want to make it clear to my viewers.
Yes, absolutely. Because I was so close to it that I tend
exactly,
to think
it becomes automatic and it still comes off like it's almost in your hand now.
Yeah, yes.
You know?
I mean, well, technology is, he and I are going to be redundant pretty soon because we will see avatars.
Well,
they'll take a picture of us on the screen, and the next thing we know is that we'll be reading the news in Timbuktu.
Yeah, my thumbnail will never know as much as you, mate. My thumbnail, so I'm not even expecting to.
Now, heavily unionized, and a couple of programs. First of all, I was commissioned to do an anniversary of Ulster Television because they'd been on the air for 50 years. And that was marvellous because I dug into the old archives for some of the commercials. Benny Hill in a punt for Cadbury's plate. Oh, and the light up the custard,
yeah,
a fag, all those things, they are fascinating. We got a whole streak of stars who had started their career at Ulster Television back for that, and it was a marvellous occasion at Belfast City Hall. And Brum Henderson, who was a crusty old bugger, he really was. And you were very careful about crossing swords with yeah. But he had taken Ulster Television by the bootstraps and just simply pulled it up to become one of the senior broadcasters in the country. He did a marvellous job. Everybody was in fear and trembling of him. And they were like that because in later years, when I was over here fooling around with, I shouldn't say fooling around, but developing Mirador and so on, I got on board Ward Thomas. Ward Thomas had done exactly the same thing in Leeds with Yorkshire Television.
Really?
Yeah. And when I first met Ward, he said, Keith, he said, you will hear many things about me. He said, but one of the things is, did I take the head of programs at Yorkshire Television up in a helicopter and threaten to drop him out on his head? He said, it's not true.
He may have thought.
But they were colourful. But boy, they made fortunes. Is the guy in the Midlands, Lou Grade.
So Ward did exactly what you've done with Mirador then?
Well, he didn't do exactly what he did, but he came on board to advise. Yeah, because I mean, by that time, Ward was of my age now.
Yeah.
And so he was in a position to say, you should do this, don't do that. Let's go down to ITV and take a look. And so on.
And then he get ideas from other stations. Yeah, because did you do much of that? Have you in your career? When in your career, did you look around at other presenters to see where you could maybe pick some tips up from them?
It was a personal thing. The companies, although the chairman met, and people like the financial directors would meet, but the rest of us were strictly competitive. Yeah,
of course.
But there again, you see, it was very regional. The main competitor was the BBC for independent television.
Well, I would imagine it was.
Yeah,
it was because the BBC was the benchmark, wasn't it?
Yes,
from
it
everything, from what I've read and what I understand, that BBC was the benchmark of broadcasting.
Well, it was. I mean, it had a clear run since 1923. There's a wonderful story told about the first chairman, and his name will come back to me in a minute.
Not Chairman Mao.
Yeah, almost, yeah. He was, one of those Brits bristling out eyebrows and
like the old what you see in films, some of the old especially the RAF guys.
Yeah. But he was everybody did exactly what he wanted. But once again, remarkable. It took this new industry and got it going and made sure they didn't fail. But he was reported to have come in one night, and this was they only had radio. They didn't have television. That was still in development. But he heard unmistakably the noise of two people having sex from one of the studios. and he opened the door and looked in, and it was the leading lady and the producer of the main program. So he stormed back to his office and called in his aides and said, "I'm not having this. This is immoral. Sack him." And so they said, "But sir, it's a live program. It's already in the Radio Times and so on. Everybody will know there's a scandal." So he thought for a moment and said, "All right, then get rid of the damn table."
One too reminds me of one of those types with the big eyebrows is Timothy West.
Yes,
the actor.
Very, very much Timothy West.
I was watching him in Goodnight Sweetheart the other day.
Oh, right.
And he played Macduff or somebody, and he was made for that role.
Yes.
Retired, he was in the Second World War, and he grabbed Gary Sparrow, who was expertly by the boy that played Rodney in Fools and Horses.
That's right, yes.
And we're not plugging deliberately BBC comedy, I promise you.
No,
Timothy West was a brilliant actor. And it was just bushy-browed eyebrows and very Macduff and sort of like funny as anything.
We must never denigrate the job that BBC did in the very early days.
Well, no.
The big problem is, of course, that when you're the leader, you take ownership of the industry, and you feel that you can determine what the rules would be. And that was the big problem. That was where the clash came, is this is the way it's done. And newcomers coming and saying, no, you do things this way or you do that way. This is crime. It's going to affect all our children. They'll all be rushing into brothels by the time they're 11.
Really? Blimey, I did start young. Now I know why you asked me to come on when you said come and do a show. Now I know, because you knew I was a rule breaker before you started.
I'm not going to ask you what you were doing at 11.
Well, well, that's my life story. Whenever it happens.
But they were heady days, and Brother Henderson was one of the early pioneers, as it were, and they were tough guys. They were really tough guys. They knew what they wanted to do, and they knew how to get it, and there was no interference, not from their own employees and not from anywhere else. And eventually, of course, when Margaret Thatcher took over the unions, she found very willing cooperatives in the managers of television to help her. And they did. The unions were broken. But the sort of excesses, Teddie, people trot out, oh, the unions and so on, so on, as if it was dreadful governance and dreadful people in charge in management. But I'm not going to use his name because he may still be alive. But the main union rep at ITV for ACTT, which was the technicians union, or the cameraman,
who dealt with all the actual technical side of the business.
He picked up a full salary from the company. He picked up a salary from ACTT for being a shop steward. He was always in London for meetings. He was always in meetings in Ulster and so on. He never ever, in something like 5 years, went into the station, as he was the union rep. Never went into the station. He was always somewhere else.
Well, it just sums up the unions back then.
Well, it sure does. But just as a footnote again, because some of these footnotes are very interesting. Once management were in the ascendant, they got a private detective to follow him, and they found out that on the money that he was making from everywhere, is he had bought a pub in County Down. He got a super duper car. He always went first class to London. He was living a life of Riley.
So this was when you were working for the commercial. That in the commercial centre. So how was that managed then? Because surely that if you're being paid by the commercial company and I guess by the union. So he was killing both ends, really.
Absolutely, and everybody knew it, but nobody knew how to stop it.
So how did he convene union meetings and stuff, or did?
Well, he just had shop stewards.
Oh right, okay.
That was easy. Only 3 or 4 people, and anyway, they didn't want to go to meetings, so he only called one every so often just to live by the rule book.
And so was that one of the first industries that the unions were clipped then?
That's the coal mining industry.
And then
coal miners and television.
So the coal mining industry followed the media.
And then the car industry, of course.
Yeah, well, I guess the media, I'm sticking with the media because when you look back then, newspapers were so important. Newspaper industry was booming during those years because now everyone can read the news online or whatever. But back then, the press was such an important industry, wasn't it?
Oh yes, it was. It was a question of where was the money going. That's
my point.
Yeah, I mean that Fleet Street was decimated by.
Yeah, I know.
They went down to Wapping, and
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the Sun went to Wapping first, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the Sun newspaper.
Yes, I mean
newspaper for me, journalism has always been of an interest in the fact that back then, the 70s and 80s, newspaper sales were up there. Whereas now, back then, the Sun controlled who people voted for. That and the Mirror, them and the Mirror.
Almost, yeah.
But now, of course, the last election, no one really. There's not enough people buying a newspaper now for a newspaper.
That's my point. Quite powerful, but it is now diluted.
It is very much. Very much.
Its power is nowhere near what it was.
It wasn't because now that the Sun is only having probably less than a third of those sales, as is the rest of the newspaper industry.
But also remember that television was well underway.
It was
by those days, and I think Coronation Street. Sometimes we get 30 million viewers.
Yes, I know.
It does very well if you get 10 million today.
Exactly. Back then in the 80s, Fools and Horses were getting the same sort of ratings on Christmas Day, the Fools and Horses Christmas special.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you remember that on Christmas Day, the stars would all go into the studio? Arthur Askey.
Yeah. Morecambe and Wise.
Yes, that's right. They all went in for the Christmas special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you wouldn't see a star anywhere near the television station today.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's our thing with TV that always fascinates me. That's why I love watching Talking Pictures. All the old stuff they get on, all the old stuff is a flashback to what was. The only thing they don't do is show the old adverts.
No.
You know what? Which I think, really, personally, I would love to see some of those.
Well, you know why? Because they would break the law.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like have a Caxton.
Oh, right.
So
that's
no
the cigarettes, isn't it? Yeah. The Caxton cigarettes, yeah.
And for a while, booze was banned. I mean, they've got a nice balance now. But one of the ads I remember is 2 little bottles of Guinness, and let's say they were playing golf, and the ball would circle the hole and not go in, and then suddenly somebody would say Mackerson,
Mackerson,
and
Mackerson stout.
Yeah, that's right. And the bottle would
stout.
spring to life.
Yeah,
but
and it would go in.
Yeah.
The old TV, actually, the history of television is fascinating. Hence, that's why it's been such a delight talking to yourself, really, and to the viewers, because this stuff, history, modern history, because that's what it is, really, still modern history, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, and it's ongoing. I mean,
it's evolving every year.
Tremendous changes in the industry. But sometimes not for the better. I mean, I look at some of the commercials today and I think, God, they're stinkers. They are awful. But in the 1990s, late 80s, 1990s, the commercials became the entertainment industry. Remember the man who loved Milk Tray?
Yeah, indeed. The Man in Black.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
they jumped down the walls.
That's right. They were little stories to themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, they were
really creative.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, advertising companies have obviously not developed as quick as TV. That's all I can say, really.
Well,
I was in the newspaper game myself, selling adverts, and very good 8 years of interest.
Yeah, well, you were in the golden age too, weren't you?
Well, I was.
Yeah,
mind you, I'm getting towards golden oldie age myself, but keep that quiet. Anyway, so there you were working for this, and you were there for how long?
Ulster Television for about 8 years.
But the commercial sector, you took a break into TV because you were radio at Ulster TV.
No. I was a radio at BBC.
Yeah, at the BBC.
I moved into television with UTV.
Yeah,
but I've been doing some television with CBC in Canada. Yeah. So you tend to go back and forth depending upon the need that any specific company had. The sort of talents that you can provide. Yeah.
So it's all building up experience as you move on in life. Really,
that's right.
It's like every profession you're in, whether it be broadcasting, butchery, prostitution. All builds character. Sorry, I bring that up. But you were talking about 11-year-olds in brothels early on, so I just thought I'd throw that throwaway remark in. Better watch myself. He'll be chastising me for that at the end of the broadcast. Hopefully not with a whip.
Now, a couple of other things that I just want to mention in that Ulster period. First of all, I got involved with a couple of other guys, and we started the first independent studio to make programs and commercials and so on in Ulster. And it really was a lovely little unit. And our timing was wrong. We were still when the unions were.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Now this guy that I was talking to you about, who almost full-time job as a union, I knew him. He came around and he sat down with me, and he couldn't have hinted more heavily as what sort of bribe are you going to give me, and I'll make sure you work. And I wouldn't bite the hook.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, but by the same token, it kept us very limited, so the thing never really took off. It was a pity, really, because that was a time when the industry was evolving. The other thing is that British Airways had an awful reputation, and when I sat down with them, I said, well, what you're not doing is you're not using your assets to good use. Here you've got a lot of criticism from the media on your airplanes.
Why?
I said, why don't you? I said, you got lots of capacity. You got all sorts of seats on the flights from Belfast to London. Put a few bums in the seats, a few journalist bums in those 3 seats. Take them over to London. Show them what you do. Show them how you make sure the aircraft can fly. Show them how you make the food for the cabins. Show them all sorts of things. For that matter, let's do some interesting things. For instance, we watched a lobster being hauled ashore on Rathling Island, which is equidistant between Scotland and Ulster. And in those days, its big industry was lobster fishing. So we watched this lobster being hauled out. We followed it being carted to Belfast Airport. We watched it as it went on board the aircraft. We got on board the aircraft with it. We flew to London. We flew on to Brussels. We watched it being taken off. We watched it being taken to a restaurant and sat down and ate it.
And what did the lobster think all about?
Well, we only chatted to it along the way and said, yeah, be calm, don't worry, it's all going to end well. It's just a claw went.
Yeah, exactly, I can imagine. Maybe he's going like the clappers, trying to get out.
But it also gave me a lot of experiences as a journalist. For instance, one of the criticisms the text press, with their bums on the seats in newsrooms, were saying, why does British Airways have hostesses that look like rugby fullbacks? And here we can get onto board Thai Airlines and that pretty little things and so on. So we took them over to what was known as Crane Bank, which is where the safety training took place. And they had a mock-up aeroplane. And the guy in charge, who got a lovely sense of humor. But anyway, he seated everybody in this mock-up airplane, and he said, right now, we're training some of our girls. So the girls came along, and suddenly, alert, alert, alert! And they rushed to the door, and they put their shoulder to the door, and the doors popped out, and the thing went down, right, ready to go. That they brought this tie. So then,
No.
the girls rushed out. little Ty goes,
Oh, hello.
they went,
Oh, yeah.
our carer has come.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. We're you're real.
Yeah, you're a real person, all right. You're a real person.
Put their shoulders to the door and bounced back. And he just looked at the Jersey. Enough said. You know,
Yeah.
these girls are very pretty, but what you do is you hope that you didn't tolerate his drunk before the bloody plane goes down, because
Yeah.
if it does, you're in trouble.
Definitely.
But they also showed us how they cleared an aircraft. And they said, right, okay, you're on alert. You do what the stewardess or whoever is in charge says. And suddenly, right, okay, out.
Yeah.
Before you knew it, you're launching yourself into the air, sliding down things up. Something like 1.4 minutes to clear an airplane.
Yeah, in the event of you landing and there's a fire or something.
Right.
Yeah, well.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The other thing is, I flew Concorde 6 times.
Really?
And that was
I would have loved to. I would have loved to. You know what? Now you were truly a jet setter, Mr. Hayes. You really were a jet setter, and I'm dead jealous.
Well, we were coming back from New York, and we'd been trapped in New York by a cold snap. And the airlines had shut down, everything was shut down, except for the night times and stuff. And we go onto the plane, and he said, look, we're going to have to go sonic, because the ice is frozen, everything, in the Concorde engines. They'll only fly. So he got up into the air, and he said, I've got a marvelous first engineer. He said, he's got it going. Here we go. Yeah. So we came back across the Atlantic. We got over London, and we started a circle. And he came on and he said, I don't know what it is about the British. He said, but the air traffic controllers want to let every airplane in ahead of us. They will not give us a preferential slot. And if they did, we would have broken the transatlantic record.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that would hold it up, wouldn't it? Not being able to land on the
You just got it to
Just keep going around in circles.
That's right, yeah. Until it was your turn. And what the captain wanted to do was to just hold for 5 minutes while he went in. And they wouldn't do it.
Amazing.
And he was saying, look at the time.
And this is how common it was for people like you back then. Oh, well, I just took Concorde to New York, like a throwaway remark. You know what? But when you actually took the flights, didn't you get a little like souvenir to say you've been on Concorde or something?
A tie, somewhere it's still packed away.
Yeah.
And a little stipend, some cufflinks.
Oh, lovely.
All those sort of things. But on one occasion, I took a promotional trip, and to look after the VIPs on board. So I was with a whole host of British film stars, and
really,
yeah. And
so you were actually a trolley dolly for the.
Well, I didn't have to look after the trolley. I'm happy to say, I was able to say yes. It could be a brandy, please. What an interesting thing, though. You hear little bits and pieces which you pick up and stick in your mind. I was talking to a stewardess. What's it like working Concorde? Absolutely marvelous. She said, but you have to be very careful. She said, I used to stand with my hand, on the where you put the luggage away, and she said there used to be a little gap. And she said one day they had to fly back up because of the height and so on, is that the whole airplane expanded and contracted. She said, I got my hand there, and the plane contracted, and they caught my hand.
Really?
Yeah, that's how much it. Yeah.
I can only imagine joining the Mile High Club in Concord. I really can. But anyway, I digress away from where we were. So
Yeah. Well, the things that I was doing in Ulster before I left and came back to the UK.
And it sounds like Ulster was, despite the troubles, was a really cool place in so many ways.
In many ways, it was. Yeah. I mean, wherever you've got a community sort of trapped in their own homes, they start to make their own fun.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the pre-electronic games times.
And it happened actually when we had COVID in this country.
That's right, yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
I know from personal experience that my brand DJY just went on.
Yeah.
Even through, when sort of like, but that story to my life story whenever it happens. But
well, I had some marvelous parties and went to some marvelous parties during the post-COVID period, just when we were coming out of it.
Yeah.
Because people still couldn't go to the public places, but we could actually have people into dinner or go to dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was some marvelous dinner parties.
Yeah, I mean, I worked through COVID and I was doing, parties in retirement housing, but safe distances. They even had the police come in, and I said, well, look, everyone's 3 foot apart, and the policewoman laughed, and she had a coffee and said, that's all right, said, you're fine, and right over the road, people in the other flats loved it, so it was a regular thing in Peacehaven, and all my mates were saying, well, yeah, you DJing through this, about just thinking outside the box, that you have to do, and and we digress away. So so that's interesting, but it's a really cool place, Ulster, by the sounds of it, when the troubles are on.
Yeah.
And again, if you're in a community like the media, then you all stick together, I guess.
Yes, and actually it is a cool place now. My daughter still lives there, and she has a marvelous time. I went back to do a story on Ulster for Reuters, and I spoke to a couple of the guys that I'd known, particularly at Harland and Wolff shipyard.
So Reuters was your next stop in your career, was it?
It was.
And this was in the mid-70s?
This was 1990.
1990?
Yeah.
Right.
But
and that's immediately after you left Ulster, presumably?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's fine. Now, again, just for the viewers, just to let them keep up.
Right. But staying with Ulster for a moment, because when I went back, I talked to a couple of interviewed them to see, what was happening. For Reuters, for program for Reuters. And one of them made the point, and he said, the big problem was that Margaret Thatcher faced was in developing Docklands, the infrastructure was in place, and it was in place for all the wrong reasons to develop. He said, here, they'd blown everything up. So what we've got is a clean playing field, and we can build the infrastructure to suit what we're going to do here. And that's why Ulster, in many ways, is a cool place. It's built properly.
I've only been to Southern Ireland, and from the Irish people I know, when I grew up in an Irish community, they are quite a creative race as well.
Oh, indeed they are. And I mean, it's very oriented towards their way of life, which is a very rural, very bucolic.
Of course.
And some of the I mean, on Gloria's program, one song that we used to play all the time is Mary from Dunlow, which is all about, I'm sorry, darling, but I'm going off to the new land, and this may be the last time that I see you, despite the fact that we're in love. Oh, that sort of thing.
That yes. And so, routers then, where were you based for routers?
Reuters, well, I started off at something called Viz News, which was the old Commonwealth Film Organisation. You know, you used to see on the movies, at the movies, halfway through, they would show
interval. JPM.
Yeah, that's right.
JPM or something.
Well, its heyday, that's what Viz News was doing. And it was the production arm of television. And Reuters, moving into television, suddenly realized that they did not have any television knowledge. So they purchased Viz News. And I'd gone to Viz News to do the business programming. I was part of the Reuters acquisition, if you like. And once again, I walked in. That was out at what's the name of the? Anyway, it was in West London, right close to the Guinness factory.
Park Royal.
Park Royal, that's right.
Park Royal.
Park Royal.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And
I remember that. I remember Park Royal. Guinness. Yeah.
I used to say, I leave Lewis in the morning, go and get on the train very early, and I get drunk on what Harvey was doing. I get off the train, just having managed to get rid of the drunkenness. I had to get out to Park Royal and get drunk all over
exactly.
again.
Yeah, because that's right. I remember that. Obviously, spending a lot of my younger life in London DJing and stuff. So, Park Royal was, I think now that actually is not there now because it all comes from Dublin now, the Guinness, even what you drink.
Well, there's a big changes in the industrial landscape in London, of course. But we very quickly moved from there to what was then the main Reuters building, which was on Gray's Inn Road, not far from King's Cross Station.
Oh, right. Okay.
And in fact, very interesting because Gray's Inn was and is still one of the key areas where barristers train, and both on Mirador television you see the Phil Meredith and Richard Barton, both very, very accomplished barristers, and both of whom were at Gray's Inn Road.
Oh, wow.
Because the law started in the pubs.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I would imagine it did. A lot of industries did, I think, really. That's for another day.
Good place to start. But Gray's Inn Road, we were in a floor above ITN, Independent Television News.
Yeah, cool.
And just around, I was discussing the other day with somebody who works for the Times. And just around the corner was a lovely pub, and I've forgotten what its real name is, but its nickname was the Sunderer. You would have loved it. A very decent pint and an interesting atmosphere when you walk in. Yeah.
That's the best sort of pub.
Absolutely.
It is, without a doubt.
Yeah. But just around the corner was an area of London that was very interesting because one of the things that we were commissioned to do was to present or provide English language television programs to Russia because it was one of the key Reuters clients.
Okay.
And so we used to hunt down Russian stories, and it's half the hierarchy of the early revolution had lived in that part of London. Primrose, Richmond Hill, and some of the key
So
things.
is that to Russians in this country?
Yeah,
It was. Yeah,
they were here. I mean, they were here. No, the programs were for people in Moscow, people who could understand English.
This is before Moscow had its own Russia Today station.
Yeah, Russia Today came in this
exactly.
century. Yeah.
Right, we'll come to that later
Absolutely. Yeah, that was again a fascinating period of my life. But,
which will be probably next week, I imagine, at some point.
Yes. Look, let's see. How
we're fine. We're fine. 10 minutes yet, mate.
Right. Well, we'll move to London if you like, because I think I've exhausted everything that's happening in Ulster.
Routers, then So what were you doing when it actually launched on TV, Routers? Just to finish
I was producing a business program which went out to about 70 or 80 stations, called Financial Report. Sounds pretty dull, but it wasn't. It's because, interestingly enough, headlines in the newspapers, which had been death and destruction and mayhem and wars and so on, were rapidly, as the country under Margaret Thatcher began to understand what business was about, ordinary people were buying shares.
Oh yeah, I was going to say.
Business news rose to the top.
Yeah, business news has never been boring.
No, it never has. But it never used to get the headlines the way that it did in the 80s.
Because they just sort of glossed over it, didn't they?
Yes,
really,
that's right.
In the last 20 years or so, people now have got shares.
That's right.
And
they're much
the
more
ordinary people in the street.
Yeah,
people like myself. I had shares, post office shares, and I'm sure that it really is actually quite interesting when you actually, when you've had your own business like myself, it's always appealing just to see what the trends are.
Yeah. It is, and certainly the trend was towards business programming there, and stations in the States like CNN.
Of course, of course, and they're mainly purely business.
Yeah, that's right, and flourished, thrived.
Of course, exactly.
But when Reuters, and the Reuters story, of course, in itself is fascinating. Reuters was started by Julian Reuter. I think he was Belgian, and it really was a corn price operation. The cornfields, the heart of agricultural Europe, was on the steppes, the Russian steppes. Which they're fighting over at the moment.
Oh yeah, into Ukraine.
Yeah, that's right.
Into Ukraine. Yeah,
and it is to get the prices of corn from Ukraine and Russia back to the main markets in London, which were global. Is they would send them by messenger, sometimes pigeon, sometimes horses, and so on. But Reuter managed to develop this little wire service. It wasn't big enough to go into Ukraine and Russia. But what he would do is he would send his information by carrier pigeon to Belgium, and then on to London with via this new thing. And he was getting his prices onto the London stock market. The corn market. In fact, it's still a corn market, right?
Well, yeah, because Ukraine was Europe's breadbasket, wasn't
That's
it?
right. Yeah,
that was the name of Ukraine. It was the European breadbasket.
That's right. So he was getting his prices in London 2 or 3 days before anybody else. I made a fortune.
Really?
He made a fortune.
And
he bought a news agency. I forget what it was called, and because basically what he said was, I'm dealing in a transfer of information. What's news?
Yeah.
So Reuters was born, but it was it carried in the halcyon days of journalism when it had the big names.
Yeah.
One of the things that always amused me was I would go from Gray's Inn Road down to the main building on Fleet Street, and on one of the floors, floor 4 or whatever, there was a gallery of pictures of past correspondence, and there was Edgar Wallace, the guy that wrote the Bond series.
Which series?
The Bond series.
Oh yeah, Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming. Yeah. The Irish guy, and
Leslie Charteris of the Saint.
I don't think Charteris was there. Maybe wrong. It wasn't. But the 4 I remember is Edgar Wallace, Ian Fleming, Frederick Forsyth. And the other guy that lived somewhere close to us here. Anyway, the 4 of them. And what was in common was they all worked for Reuters. They're all famous novelists, and they were all spies.
I was going to say, because wasn't Ian Fleming an agent?
Yeah.
For MI5 or somebody?
Yeah,
I remember reading that.
He was,
yeah, and also Frederick Forsyth.
Yeah, they were all spies.
And I guess you had to be a spy because like some of their stuff is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, the Bond series, you know, it's amazing. And I wonder how much of the Ian Fleming stuff was actually in the Bond movies. I mean, I know with Official Secrets Acts and that, but you can dress anything up to make it look slightly different.
Actually, I thought that with one exception, which disappointed me enormously, the Bond movies were very close to the books. Actually, the storylines weren't too bad. The one that disappointed me is The Spy Who Loved Me, because the story is you just showed Fleming's great ability to tell a story, as well as intriguing with the spy stuff. The story is all about a young girl who in the 1950s who gets comes from private school and gets caught in the back of the cinema with her knickers down by the attendant with the torch, and is sent off to Montreal by her aunt to avoid the scandal. And when she's coming home, she takes a little lambretta and goes down through the Adirondack Mountains to go and get on a boat and come back. And on the way down, they're all closing up for the end of the season. She stops at one of these places that you drive in, a motel.
Motel.
Yeah. And it turns out that this is owned by the mafia, and they're going to burn it down, and they're going to burn her with it. So there's a body. So here she is, trapped, right? And they say no more clients and so on. But then I'm looking for a room for the night, and she sort of goes, and he goes, and it's James Bond. And he saves her from the mob. And it's a wonderful story. And the film was nothing like it. They got so used to whiz bangs and so on, and that disappointed me enormously.
Well, thank you very much, Keith. That is this expert of your life is excerpt of your life and times of Keith Hayes. Thank you very much, Keith.
Now, thank you, Teddie. Yeah, it's amazing because they're very enjoyable, and we get into all sorts of red herrings.
Yeah,
all sorts of
exactly.
Aren't they?
So, and then next week we leave Reuters and move on to your adventure in Russia.
Indeed.
This man has had a great life, and I hope everyone, all my viewers, are watching this and saying, "Well, please carry on." but unfortunately we have other stuff. Now, before I hand this back to Keith, because he's going to do the rugby review of the Nations League, give us all an update on that. I'm just going to make some announcement now, because you probably see I'm not on Tuesday this week. This is my new day, my new morning at Mirador is Mondays. Is Mondays for me and Keith, and we'll be working together as we always are on a Monday. On Tuesday, Keith is taking over Tuesday morning, and we'll have the tech saint coming in, doing his show for Keith.
Yes, indeed.
And then Keith will, I would imagine this week, maybe going into After V, something like Parkinson's, because he does work via the station for Parkinson's awareness, don't you, Keith?
Yes. I like to, most people know I've got a very severe case of Parkinson's. It's, when I'm sitting next to him, I can't escape anyway because I can't walk.
Exactly. There's no escape. And then Wednesday this week, I'm interviewing another 90-year-old born a couple of years before the war started, Second World War, not the Boer War, but the Second World War. And he's had a fascinating life also, like Keith, but in publishing and all sorts. A real gentleman as well. He's a neighbour of mine for 2 years, and a very, very nice man. And this is this Wednesday, but after this Wednesday, it's going to be Wednesdays is the day that we're going to look at all the news stories that have happened over the last week and bitch about them and be negative about some of the people in the news. And generally, this is a station that's a good news station the rest of the week, but it's going to be pick on Wednesday. And also on Wednesdays, I'm going to be starting the Wednesday debate.
That sounds interesting.
Now, the first debate is going to be about our high streets, state of our high street, and I'm going to get some retailers in. A friend of the station I'm hoping to get in, Abigail from Abigail's Drapery.
She's a very interesting lady.
We're the oldest shop in the British Isles. And that's true, because we interviewed her and she confirmed. And we'll give you a history of that when the Wednesday debate starts. I'm hoping it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we're going out back to what Keith wanted to do when he asked me to come on. We're back to 3 mornings a week doing what we do. And also I've got guest presenters, one from the States, hopefully, Melissa, coming in.
Oh, good, yes.
If you can obviously email her and just let her know that I'll be emailing her to see when she can restart. And so this is all to come, as I'm now, he's passed the baton to me to run the everyday affairs of Mirador South Television, which I'm more than happy to do. And of course, we know it's not just the south of England we serve, being a YouTube channel, infinity. They even get us out in outer space, I'm told. But I've had no confirmation about that. So this is how we see, because for me, this man, even though I'm running every day, for me, he'll always be Mr. Mirador. And that's it. And I know my friend V, the Saint Tech, he thinks the same. He'll always be Mirador. So for me, I'm just running the station every day, and he'll still be here as far as I'm concerned, as the principal, doing his other stuff, because he can also be starting a blog.
Yes, it's starting a blog.
Which you are, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Which you're working on now.
I'm very interested in the history of where we are, and in fact wrote articles for a former magazine in Lewis about various history things. What I'm looking at the moment is the Saxons, because we tend to dismiss the Saxons as being sort of ruthless buggers that were always fighting, but in fact they are a very sophisticated society, and they really produced a lot that is still part of our lives now. So I want to look deeper. And at the moment, I'm into King Athelstan. King Athelstan? Who was he? Well, one thing he did was he turned up on the island here, Hampshire Island, and held his court for 3 days. And apparently there's about 1,000 people came with him, and knights and ladies in armor and you name it. They set the island alight.
So anyway, this man will be giving you details of that as well. And sport-wise, from next football season coming, the Premier League, Mirador will be starting the Mirador Fantasy Premier League, where all the viewers can enter. This will be carried on the Sun newspaper fantasy football channel, which I'll give you all details of later on. And the build up to that, I'm going to be giving you a rundown of all the 20 Premier League teams on a daily basis from the start of August. So that's something that's coming. And hopefully everyone that enters, I'm hoping with the help of the tech, our sponsor, the Tech Saint, can arrange that everyone that registers at our new email, which is miradorsouth@proton.me. And that is our new email, which will be coming up on the screen again over the next couple of weeks. So, and everyone who tells us they've entered, we'll send them back. Hopefully, I'm hoping that V will be able to do it, a standard certificate saying, thank you for entering the inaugural Fantasy League competition of Mirador Television South. So that's all to come. So there's still
exciting days.
Me and my buddy here, Keith, we're still going to be around, and we'll keep it going. So I'll hand you over now to Mr. Keith. He will tell everyone about the Nations League, and I'm going to go for a whiz.
Right, okay.
Over to you.
Well, it is, of course, everybody thought that the Nations League was going to take second place to the World Cup. And in fact, I suppose in many ways it has. But in its own way, it has stormed the rugby aficionados. There have been stadia filled to capacity, sometimes 70 or 80,000 people for these matches. It's involved, 12 different countries, 6 from the Southern Hemisphere, 6 from the Northern Hemisphere, playing each other up until this last Saturday. And now we'll start again in November for the second half. But there'll be some excellent games. But just let me take a quick run through of who will be the winners and losers. New Zealand, traditionally one of the powerhouses, has done extremely well. It comprehensively stuffed Ireland, who locally within the Six Nations within Britain and France were the powerhouse. France, they've won the local, or I shouldn't say local, but the Northern Hemisphere. They won the Northern Hemisphere League. They beat Japan 42-15. Australia stuffed Italy. Now, everybody, Italy is everybody's pet favourite. They struggled to find their place. They'd started to do it, and the fact that they lost 57-10 is a sad reflection on what is happening. But Italy still give value for money. Fiji, that were battered by England with a record 70 points score a week ago. They fell to Scotland 33-17, and South Africa. I watched that match. Poor Wales, who are just as a powerhouse of the 80s and the 90s, are now floundering, and they lost 43-0 to South Africa. And Argentina, who played England in the semi-final of the World Cup football in rugby, they lost 31-24. But that was a very exciting game because England keep on coming out with two sides, the first half and the second half. The first half, they were dominant. They pushed Argentina all over the place. The second half, they took their foot off the pedal and they only just made it home by the skin of their teeth. So we've seen over the period, New Zealand continues its dominance. Australia is up and down. France continued their dominance. Ireland were doing very well against Japan. England did extremely well against Fiji. As I say, that record number of points, 73. And Argentina, they beat Wales at 35-21. And so it goes on. And now we take a pause to assess who's doing what. The power still lies with the Southern Hemisphere. South Africa, extremely good team. They have good defensive capability, good attacking capability, and they read the game extremely well. New Zealand have taken a dip, but they are still a power to be reckoned with. And Australia, though up and down as well, give a good account of themselves. The other two teams from the south, Fiji and Japan, the Fijians are very, very colourful. They do all sorts of traditional dances, including a sort of a haka at the beginning of the game. They are very fleet of foot, where they not so hot is in the forwards, but they give a good account of themselves and not a bad side at all. Worth watching, even if they lose. And the Japanese, of course, right here in Sussex, in World Cup a couple of World Cups ago, beat, I think it was, South Africa at the Amex Stadium unexpectedly, and they continue to improve. In the north, Italy still, as the saying goes, suck behind tit, and the issue for them is to continue to build, because they have come a long way and they deserve the credit for where they are now. If they're still not quite good enough to take on the big boys, then they soon will be. And it may be slow in coming, but then again, it was slow in coming for some of the senior sides who were going in the 1800s. So let's give them credit where credit is due. Poor old Wales, they want a resurgence. They start to show promise, and then they get stuffed badly. So there's a lot of work to be done in the valleys and the Arms Park. And actually, I've been to what 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 stadia here for home nations, and there is nothing like stepping into the Arms Park on a home day for Wales. The Welsh crowd are terribly enthusiastic. They sing heartily the Welsh national anthem, and all in all, it's an experience not to be missed. If you get a chance to go, go. Whether you're a rugby buff or not, doesn't matter. You'll find that it's a wonderful day out. The French continue their dominance, as most people say. Their domestic scene is very good because they're able to play a lot of their matches in the southern part of the country where mud is not known. And they're able to play on good firm surfaces for the entire season. But it bears them well, and they do extremely well. And they are being chased by England now, although England themselves are on the comeback trail. And the big problem with England is you never know which team is going to turn up. And they have proved, they have shown that they have the capability of playing some excellent rugby. It's the mental attitude. And for various reasons, either per match or per half match, they take their foot off the accelerator. And that's what they're going to have to stop. They are going to have to stop laying back when they are doing well. They've got to keep the pressure on. Is it an arrogance that is born into us English? I don't know. It could well be. And there you are. We're showing you what we're all about. So now we'll go for a cup of tea. Well, that cup of tea sometimes is very costly. So who have I left out? Scotland. Scotland, once again, a charismatic side. Everybody loves watching the Scots. And of course, the Princess Anne is a patron. And God bless her, she turns up to every match that she possibly can. But they play a good game, and they've beaten some of the best teams. They still have not found their full potential. And what one expects in the not too distant future, there will be a season when they will emulate the Irish, and they will take over and lead from the front. England will always be, because it's got a lot of money and a lot of good players. It just hasn't found the right coaching combination yet. And I like to think that the coaching situation can be ironed out. We've had some terrific coaches. That the suits or the ties, or as one English player famously called them, the old farts in charge in Twickenham, sorry, he's a little crest. Give them a bad time in trying to find a good combination. But rugby has, as I've said, filled stadia to bursting limits in Britain, in Argentina, in South Africa, and it's a healthy scene. But one thing that crosses my mind, and I know it crosses Teddie's, is that where on earth does the money come from, particularly for the away brigade? Because tickets for the World Cup football They didn't start for less than about 300 or 400 quid for a very ordinary seat. For rugby, they start at 50 or 60 for a very ordinary seat. On top of that, we've had other sporting events, Grand Prix, and what else has been going on? I just can't think of what else. There have been several other. The test matches, all to capacity crowds. That's a hell of a lot of money floating around. And where does it come from? And where does it go to? We know in the case of cricket and rugby where it goes to. We're not absolutely sure where it goes to when it comes to FIFA, who did not fill themselves with glory on this last match. I only watched a bit of it. Teddie watched all of it. Teddie, there are little signs of corruption and nonsense in this last match between the final between Spain and Argentina, which Spain won, incidentally, 1-0.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, right, I'm not, I really shouldn't be anti the Argentina, but I am. I hate them. I really do. And quite frankly, in a football match, when it's about sport, you bring out the Maldives. I'm sorry, but for me, they should have been thrown out the competition there and then.
Absolutely.
Personally, that not because against any team, but it's England, and because of England, the Argies have always hated us since we sunk the Belgrado.
Well, that's right. Politics should not enter into any sporting event.
Definitely not. It's about sport, about sporting enjoyment.
That's exactly it.
And you know what? When there was the main thing is, that's the best part about the World Cup is there was no football interaction on a violent nature between opposing teams.
No, there wasn't. It was held in good sporting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Except for, I watched a couple of incidents in the final where it was obvious that frustrated Argentinians. They threw a couple of the Spanish players to the ground.
They're just bad losers. They're bad losers. I'm sorry. And if there's any Argies out there, you want to come back to us with the blog on top of the do it if you want to. It's a free country, it's free speech in this country, so please share your if you dislike my attitude. You're not the first. I've had 3 mother-in-laws that have never really liked my attitude and my tolerances, but you know what, they didn't last long either, as did the wives. But so right again, but sport is sport. And for me, the best time football now is really starting. Now we've got the World Cup out the way. I was watching it, the actual presentation, and there was old Trump this morning giving them, walking along the squad of Spain, giving them the thumbs up the way he does, like he's dancing, and sort of like. But and to be honest, I thought the Trump action with the Infantino, the FIFA president, getting the America's strikers suspension overturned, that was disgusting as well. It showed up a man that doesn't understand. The president of the USA does not understand the game of football about fair play. And of course you get referees making the wrong decisions. Let's be honest, as a fan, you always think that referees are making a wrong decision in every game.
That's right.
But if you had a president that interfered in every game of American football, or soccer as they call it out there, then it wouldn't be a sport, and it wouldn't be. It would not be sport when you get political figures infiltrating
Absolutely.
the British sport.
Yeah, now could I say something, because I think Teddie has already said is Wednesday is going to be Gripe Wednesday, and that we will actually be sounding off.
We will, and this is on Wednesday.
Followed by a debate. Will there be a Wednesday debate?
There will be, yes, but won't be starting this week because I'm starting Tony's story this week.
Right. Okay.
So and
Gripe Wednesday then starts 2 weeks away.
About 2 weeks away.
Get your gripes ready.
Exactly, and put them on our blog that runs alongside the Mirador screen. Please join in. Join in. Give us your gripe, no matter where you are, whether you're a Martian that don't like your boss, or whether you're in this world of ours that's spinning on an axis. Tell us where you are about your gripes about anything.
Absolutely.
It's Gripe Wednesday coming up in the future.
Gripe Trife.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, don't forget Mirador South at proton.me.
Right. That's ME, is it?
ME.
Right.
Yes, as a medical examiner. Only not in my case.
Now, let's finish off by you reminding people, because we've had almost 12 months of glorious football. It's been a good high standard, hasn't it?
It has.
He goes up to Fulham almost twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's the bar that actually takes him rather than the team.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. I think if nothing was happening in Craven Cottage, I'd be a season ticket holder just to have a walk around the cottage for a start.
When does the football league start?
It starts the 23rd of August, the Premier League.
Right.
And I think the 92 pyramid competition, the Championship, League One and League Two starts the week before.
Right.
But I'll confirm that next time I'm on.
Okay. And when do we see studs go on to the dripping pan?
Sorry. Oh wow! Now that again, I'll have that update next week.
Right, you are.
Along with
we will be looking at local sport.
We will,
and putting it into the context of national and international.
Of course.
Because in rugby, the regular season will start, I think, sometime around September, and we have normally we wait for the Six Nations, which starts somewhere around February and March. But this year, the second part of the Champions League starts in November.
Yes.
So we've got a wonderful winter or autumn of first-class sport to be followed on in 2027 with all our top-class stuff.
Exactly.
So if you're a sports person, it's an absolute cocktail party.
It is, and of course, we will be carrying on regardless.
Absolutely.
As to quote Sid James.
Carry on regardless. Yeah.
So I hope you've all enjoyed today's broadcast. Thank you again to Keith for another part of his life story, and we join him next week from his journey in Russia, which is equally as fascinating. And I'm sure I'll be throwing all sorts of red herrings up just to keep him on his toes, even though he's sat on his arse. Really. So thank you all. Thanks for watching, and we still got that bloody thing in the corner.
Yes, we're both getting excited about how, in this case, if you get something for sale, malware bites.
Malware bites.
Don't buy it.
No,
Do not buy it.
Exactly.
It imposes itself and tries to force you into paying money which the experts say if you have got
We give you a choice to buy now.
yeah, what you've got probably built into your computer does the job equally as well.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we can discuss that with our
I think
Saint tomorrow
I think we can. Yeah, indeed.
online, and that will hopefully show our viewers how to get rid of it as well.
Indeed.
So you can ask him that from
Yes,
me tomorrow.
because I'm sure that this pesky thing is a nuisance to a lot of people.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Right, you are. Is it Toodle Pip?
Toodle pip from me.
And Toodles from me.
Yes, indeed. Something like that.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ta-ra.
And you won't see me, but you'll see him.
There you go. You got to put up with me again tomorrow. But
There we go.
It's him on Wednesday.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
See you all. Bye. It's a wrap.
Thank you.